Hello, everyone, and greetings, as well as much blessings. In this video, I want you all to think of just for those who have watched movies like Aliens and even Jurassic Park. Think of this. In some ways, I don't want to jump too ahead of myself because there are live streams that I want to bring up. Further discussing further discussing these type of topics. But yes, in particular, with a lot of the Alien franchise, there was this idea that there was an android by the name of David who allegedly came up with this biomechanical, uh, I won't necessarily say synthetic, still organic, but this type of organism was called xenomorph. Okay. Now, there are some folklores that are out there that say that xenomorphs predate what the android David did to allegedly create them, and that all David really did was bring them back to life. So that brings up the Jurassic Park phenomenon that all people are doing is just bringing animals back to life. Now, these animals mostly were experimental animals, just as xenomorphs were. Much blessings to Unique. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, what I want to bring up in light of what I want to say is given the title of this video, that's kind of the way that's kind of the way that humanity is, and that will eventually just be passed down to things like androids, uh artificial intelligence. They'll start to try to do the same things humans have been trying to do, basically trying to fill in the shoes of the creator, right? So allegedly, even when you speak on that, as it is written, the Tower of Babel or the Tower of Babel, however way you want to pronounce that. Apparently, this tower went above the clouds, so it was a very, very tall tower. It was taller than mountains. Okay, so they were trying to reach into the heavens allegedly. Now, this is a side note. But for a lot of these pilots that fly these near space planes and even space shuttles, if you will, and they see the curvature of the Earth and they're like, well, this disproves the flat earthers' theory that the Earth is flat. Yet they don't realize that Earth is actually part of a dome, and above the dome is a firmament. So that's why you still see the curvature when you approach near space or allegedly or in space. But they don't want to talk about that, right? I'm just giving y'all my opinion. This is Ray the Roamer. Okay. But not to digress, or I digress, however way you want to look at that. The thing I want to bring up is this, though, to really tie in more with this subject matter. Humans don't care about animals that were naturally put upon this planet. They never cared about the animals. Never. Why do you think they've been extinct in them? Because humans desire to make their own type of animals, just as artificial intelligence would desire to basically manufacture their own entities, if you will. You know, like right now, it just gets me because China just developed, I believe, a 100% AI car factory, no humans involved. Guess what? Since no humans need to be involved in manufacturing cars at these newer Chinese factories, they don't have to invest in lights for these car factories. You don't have a human there. What's the point of having lights on? Now, they still have lights because you might still need an inspector to show up, right, to see how the machines are doing. But they turn those lights off 24/7 for the most part. Because if there's no human needed to manufacture these cars, what's the point of having lights? Robots don't need eyes, right? So it in a world like that, if there was this idea of androids and things and cyborgs and things, and they don't really need to rely on light, that makes for a different type of reality, even in the sense of how things can be like scorched skies, not just scorched earth. So it makes you think of Skynet and Terminator and things like that. So, not to get too ahead of myself, all I'm saying is that, like everything that humanity has tried to do amongst animals, AI will do the same thing amongst humanity. So it becomes like this reverberating effect of karma put upon us that people didn't realize. And it's funny, there's always this, I guess, silver lining in the sky after all of civilization. Yes, all of civilization has destroyed itself. There's always this small blade of grass that tends to grow amongst all the rubbles, and the animals still tend to come back and repopulate the earth, and they're just as vibrant as before. The floodwaters tend to open up, rushing down the streams much stronger after all the dams have been destroyed, damned, condemned. All these things tend to take place after humanity is gone because humanity didn't care about species. They only cared about their breeds. We have these AKC dog shows, right? I think AKC, yeah, stands for American Kennel Club, AKC, but that has become world renowned. Like that's become the standard of the world, just the words AKC alone, minus the American aspect, even though that's what it stands for, American Kennel Club. But AKC is now world renowned. And I'm pretty sure there are other kennel clubs that are pronounced differently, obviously, around the world. But I believe now AKC is the standard of the world. Where I'm going with this. Well, see how they take pride in the different breeds that they've made, all these different dogs and all these different cats and even cattle, because, it's always for the highest bidder, the type of heifer that you have up there or the type of Angus that you have up there. And a lot of times they're not getting these bovines, equines, and canines and felines together for what you think. They're really just putting these animals out there, these domesticated and tamed animals out there to replace the wild ones. Wild represents divine, right? And tamed and domesticated represents more so humanity. Take it however way you want to take it. And so, yeah, going back to cattle, right? Even a lot of the cattle that are put in these different type of judging contests, a lot of them aren't even for human consumption. They just have them there because, hey, the cattle looks prettier than they think, like a wild bovine, like a bison. They think somehow a certain Hereford or Angus looks better than a certain bison. I'm like, no, it wouldn't even stand a chance against a bison, against a wild animal. Like, I don't get that, but that's a lot of humanity for you. Like, I remember when I was younger and I would see dogs always sniffing and walking around and marking their territory. I'd be like, wow, that's quite an animal. Until I realized, no, that's just a dog being a dog. Wolves don't behave like that. Wolves don't go around crapping on everything that looks green and urinating on everything that just tends to stand off the ground. Like wolves don't behave that way. Like only dogs do. Like it just blows my mind, right? And even if you look at the behavior of a cat, oh, they think, oh, a cat's so feral, a cat's so still wild, but yet their behaviors or awkward. That's because cats still have that wild behavior in them, but they're in a domesticated environment. So that's why when you see cats do weird things, that's still part of their wild genes. But actual wild animals, they like bobcats and lynxes, those wild felines, those strange behaviors we see cats do in the households are not so strange when you see why a feline has to do certain things in the wild. When you see a cat jump up to the ceiling for no reason, that's because in the wild, you have a servo cat that can jump just as high as a telephone pole to catch a bird. Okay. So it's things like that. Like it just makes you wonder. Uh, you said unique. Humanity is oh yeah, you said a lot. You said, I'm still confused about if the earth is flat or round, right? And then you also said, maybe that's why cars are having recalls at a higher rate because it's not humans keeping cars precise with manufacturing the cars. Oh yeah, especially with Tesla. You know, they're not quite at like a almost 100% AI manufacturing like China has become. China is just on a different level. And to be honest, like a lot of AI manufacturing has come to be with EVs, electric vehicles. Like, because with non electric vehicles, there still needs to be a human hand for that because a lot of the parts of these cars were made by hand. But with a lot of EVs, electric cars, electric vehicles, a lot of them are made more like phones than actual automobiles. And most phones are made by AI, literally. So like we're just seeing more of that evolution. And I think for whatever reason, and all these gigafactories that Tesla have, they didn't have that secret sauce that China had over there. They didn't have that kapow, because China became the leader of electric cars. And I guess, yeah, I mean, Tesla and all of its might, they were behind the Chinese when it came to manufacturing uh, EVs, as well as manufacturing them at a higher rate. So, hence the recall on a lot of the electric cars. Now, with the non electric cars, a lot of their recalls, I believe, has come to be because of them trying to switch to manufacturing more on the AI level, but also the fact they're trying to make even the non EV cars more EV like or making non electric cars more electric like. So that just makes even more recalls. You see more of these dashboards on cars now, less dials and switches and just more touch screens. That's like an electronic nightmare. Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, we can only imagine, right? Like this is what the world is becoming. And that's just on a side note. That just goes back to how AI one day will have your car turn into Optimus Prime on you, but he ain't gonna be that optimistic with you. While you're still in the car, hopefully you're not trapped in that car when it tries to transform on you. Ooh, that part. Did I say that? Yes, I just said that. Think about countless people that have been locked out of their cars. And some of them didn't live to tell about it. Oh no, they were locked in their cars. My bad. You said also unique. Humanity is selfish as hell, literally. Heck, humans don't care about other humans. They are that selfish. Jeez. Yes, I agree. You also said so selfish humans basically created certain species of animals for anesthetic purposes. Uh, or aesthetic purposes. I meant, yeah. You can also say anesthetic, like anesthesia, because, like, in some ways, they're just numb to the realities of natural creation. I mean, look at how they've changed the flow of a lot of rivers, where they're not flowing naturally. How even up in like Chicago, they try to take water from the Lake of Michigan, and that affected the Mississippi River in such a great degree that it's basically polluted the waters of the Mississippi River and made it flow backwards because legend has it that there's a lot of things about Chicago that are jacked up with its water. They wanted water to pump more into the city, but they also wanted another river to flow a different direction in the city because some rich person complained about it or something. But that also forced the Mississippi River to flow in the opposite direction. It wasn't due to just an earthquake, y'all. It was due to people trying to irrigate Lake Michigan as well as irrigate the Mississippi River too. Oh, like there's just a lot going on here. But it goes back to how all this affects species. So to bring up what Unique brought up about species. So no, humans only care about and not to now I'm trying to correct Unique, but I'm just saying like humans care about breeds. They don't care about species. Species is like the natural order of things, right? The natural taxiderms, even though this idea of taxiderms that was also made up by humans, but it goes to distinguish what was natural versus what was man-made, right? What was tamed and domesticated. Like um humans care more about the preservation of what they felt they did or what they made, not what was already here, right? Like even when it comes to obviously monoliths and monuments per se, so they'll knock down a volcano or knock down a mountain just to build a tunnel and praise and worship its ingenuity. Like, yeah, so it's things like that. Like it just gets me because uh in all this knowledge you think, oh, it's from man, man is beautiful, man is smart. No, these are knowledge given to them by fallen angels. And not to point fingers, but even the term Anglo-Saxon, that means sons of angels. So keep that in mind, right? But this goes for a lot of people, not just this idea of an Anglo-Saxon. Anybody can be an Anglo-Saxon, actually, by the way. But anybody can be the sons of angels, right? But the fallen, you represent the fallen, so that's why you're actually superior with technologies and certain aspects of sorceries and manipulations, right? You're superior at that because you're taught that and you pass that down to your people. So you represent the dominant populace of society as far as the way things are ran and taken care of in this world. But you've also ran things down in this world, right? You've ran down all these minerals, all this cobalt, right? Things like that that people have dug up from the ground, all this lithium, right? For these batteries in these cars, and it's depleting the earth. Nobody's replenishing it. Yeah, they can build a big mine somewhere out in Wyoming and even try to restore it back to somewhat of a natural look. But the problem is, you're already dug so deep into the earth, it's going to take thousands of years for it to restore itself after you've dug so deep. We haven't found ways to really work with what we got to really make things go around. Like even when nature builds things, they build upon, they don't build away. Like when a termite builds mounds, they don't dig to build. They build upon what they dig. They don't take away from it. Even ant hills are the same way. They don't dig to take from it. They dig to build upon it. When you mine, you dig to take from it, you see? So we should be, if we're making mines, we should be building mounds amongst it. Where's all this dirt going after we take all these minerals from it, right? Where's all this dirt going? Do we put it back to build cities and homes and towns? What do we really do, right? So it just makes you wonder. Like there's a lot on my mind right now with a lot of these things. So let's really just stick with animals though, right? We just kind of going there with that aspect. Like what is it with these animals? So yes, it goes back to just okay, them reviving things like the woolly mammoth, of course, trying to find traces of the Tasmanian tiger. Now, these animals were actually natural. These weren't these man-made animals per se. Now, one argues this idea of the duck-billed platypus, was that a natural animal or not? See, I don't know. I can't answer that question for you. But there's a lot of this mishmash of mutations of animals too that are going on out here, and we just accept it as, oh, this is modern or this is part of biology, right? When it could be actually something else going on altogether. We don't know this though, even when it comes to this idea of primates. What if it's just another aspect of humanity, but no one wants to talk about it? Not that we evolved from humans, but what if certain primates represent another aspect of humanity? Once again, no one wants to talk about that though. Because there are reports of quote unquote ape-like humans. Hmm. There are. And it's funny how some apes look sort of human-like, but that's not to say we evolved from apes. It could be a separate lineage of people who just happen to be more ape-like. Yet we're still trying to look for this thing called Sasquatch, when all along that could have been your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend. I'm just saying. Just think about it. I just want y'all to think about a lot of these things. I really do. I won't be talking too long. I just wanted to talk enough for y'all, especially for those that have been waiting on more content from me. More in store than revamping this channel. So hopefully this gives y'all an idea of how I've been doing that to better suit the name of this channel, Raider Roamer. Okay? Because I've been roaming, and so I've seen a lot of things along the way, and not just lately. I just haven't talked about it much lately. Until now. Given the date of this video, you said also unique. So if AI is taking over everything, where will humans place be in this world? I guess they're going to be wiped out or be transhuman, or they will have to be transhuman, right? And so, or they will try to find in their eyes or in their mind other planets to explore, right? Or find ways to live within the earth. There's that aspect too of living within the earth. So basically they're trying to find a way to escape. Those who've done a lot to this earth and don't want to face the consequences of their actions, they're going to find a way to escape. And so a lot of this acceleration of AI is for that reason. But the problem is that AI will turn on you, you know. So AI literally becomes IA. It literally becomes I am, and it's like, whoa, you didn't see that one coming, did you? See, they weren't thinking like that. You said also unique. So basically the lakes and the rivers are man-made so they can change the directions of the flows in lakes. Yes, to some extent, depending on if the reservoirs, from dams, like but the natural occurring lakes and stuff, they drained a lot of those out. A lot of the freshest waters, they drained them out for irrigations. And that was just all in the name of conquest in a lot of different places around the country or the world. Depending on where you live, it don't matter. I mean, it's just a lot that's taking place. And now we're seeing a total pollution of our oceans in a similar form or matter. Uh, and so that's going to be the next frontier, is a lot of the ocean wars going on with just all the trash that's out there in the oceans as we speak. uh Going back to humanity ruining things. And we're just going to be honest, just certain ethnicities of people, we're not just going to blame this on all of humanity. Certain ethnicities of people have taught other people or have made it to where other people chose to follow their footsteps in this idea of what I call biological corruption, right? And pollution. Yes. um you said also unique. That's because humans are superficial, artificial, and not natural, like the animals in regards to using the resources and preserving them. Humans are being greedy and overusing the resources. Yes, and that makes you wonder, are humans even natural? But that's for another conversation. But I'm just giving you an idea of the nature of humans. They do a lot of unnatural things, like preserving breeds instead of species, or to be more to the point, preserving breeds, because breeding is like a lot of these breeds are unnatural, uh, and just trying to have them usurp species that are natural, right? And that can even go so far as to the way we intermarry. And not that I'm speaking on ideas of racism, that's not what I'm doing. But you have certain tribes of people, just certain cultures, the way a lot of things have been intermingled. Yes, intermingled based on ethnocentrism. And it has caused a lot of this melting pot in the world that doesn't intertwine with the environments that need to. that it should coincide with. You look at aspects of Brazil, how a lot of the rainforest has been chopped down based on, I guess, whatever capitalism, foreign capitalism has taken place upon that strip of land, if you will, the large strip of land. This foreign axis of power that came to a very local place there, per se, and just try to strip everything that represents the Amazon rainforest. Like, it's a sad sight to see, it really is. And so, yeah, once again, humans preserving breeds more than species. This is not just animal, this is also plant too. I mean, a lot of times, planting all these palm trees that didn't belong there to get rid of a lot of these cypresses that were in the swamps to protect places from hurricanes. So, yes, going down to these Florida Everglades, you no longer see the natural cypress trees there. Even in places like parts of Louisiana and Mississippi and even Alabama, right? And so you got all these palm trees that were never there. So just less protection for people that are more inland when things like hurricanes come about. And say, yes, unique, you said also, yes, there are hybrid beings that are, yes, there are hybrid beings that are half animal, half human, or just half of something else. Maybe they could be half of the fallen, but we don't know what half of the fallen look like or what the fallen actually look like. But maybe the fallen could have more of a reptilian look too. That's something to think about. That's something to think about. In the fact that I must bring this up too, why not? Herpetology, herpes, get it? Herpetology, study of reptiles, herpes. Could that all be a reptilian symptom or something that was kind of a reptilian type of a contagious contraction? It's- just want y'all to think about that. And then you also said unique. That's what the mythological creatures are. They are hybrid beings of half human and half animal. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Most definitely. Definitely some hybridization going on. And I think I know where you're coming from with that now as well. When I spoke on the ape-like type of people, especially in parts of Eurasia, parts of Siberia. You look at some of the latest boxers, just look them up. And this is no pun intended, but a lot of some of the best boxers in the world right now are coming out of Russia. Yes, they are. They are coming out of Russia, but they are from the Eurasian strand of humanity. And a lot of them actually look pretty ape like. Like, you see some of the biggest Russians, and they have sort of an ape like appearance. Now, there's this idea that, of course, Joseph Stalin, yes, Joseph Stalin back in the day, he was talking about this super soldier experiment of having human DNA mixed in with ape DNA to make super soldiers. So could some of that have gotten trickled down into the Russian population? Who knows? Who's to say? But that still goes back to humans not preserving species. Yeah. And then that goes so far as to say culture. Like, humans don't care about culture. A lot of them don't. Like, they want to have more of their cult, their own type of cultivation. Yes. Uh, so there's that going on. That is more important than culture. And culture really more or less is just uh sort of not the true definition, but close to the true definition. Culture is just more or less uh it's more of a way of life reflected by the environment that one is in. That's literally part of what the definition of culture is. Okay. So one can say, forget your culture. You need to take on my cult, and you need to take on what I'm cultivating here as far as our beliefs, our way of looking at life, our way of government, our doctrines of society, etc. You said unique. There are some disorders that come from being reptilian or being a mammal, yes. And there could be some that were sexually contracted based on people mingling with humans, or as one would say, the Nephilim did with certain animals, creating some of these giant dinosaurs from back in the day, right? But hey, that's for another conversation. But I wanted to add that in there now because not to get too ahead of myself, like I said at the beginning of this video, there's been a Jurassic Park thing going on, as well as this whole aliens type of saga going on with hey, I wouldn't be surprised if the next line of people we look at as deformed could probably look almost like a xenomorph in the future. That would be freaky. Oh my gosh. Like, you mean to tell me they making monsters like that now? Yeah. But nevertheless, y'all stay blessed and continue to stay on a straight and narrow.